Welcome to the Casual Show with the Fluff. And today he brings on another great guest, the Reverend Ravenwolf of the online channels that you've seen so much. He's booked in more hours on Facebook than anyone else. Let me leave the rest of the introductions and to our star and host with the Fluff.
Hello, I am Fluffy. Welcome to my casual show with the Fluff. As mentioned, today's guest is Reverend R.G. Ravenwolf. He is a good friend of mine. He is a medium, not a large, not a small, just a plain old medium. Although there's nothing plain about him, he has logged more hours on Facebook than anyone I've known. He does daily blogs. He knows just about everything in regards to the supernatural and paganism, and probably so much more. RG, welcome.
Well,
Do you
thank you.
want to,
Pleasure to be here. I still want to
yeah,
reach through the screen and like play with your ears.
oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm kind of attached to them. My head gets cold at night, so I'm used to wearing the ears. So thank you for joining us today.
My
Do you want to
pleasure.
talk a little? Do you want to talk a little bit about yourself?
Well, I think you covered it in the introduction. My name is Aji Ravenwolf. I am a medium, I'm a spiritualist medium. I focus on clairaudiency, so clairaudient. And over the upcoming year ahead, I will be doing an entire living with me as a medium. I'm originally from London. I've been a medium since I can remember. I'm part of the Corellian tradition. I also teach, I'm a mentor and I enjoy teaching. I enjoy doing video streams and pretty much just enjoying discussions around the board. I also teach tarot.
Nice. Well, I'm sure that there's a lot of people with questions out there. I got some questions that probably aren't streamlined. Um, so my first one is that I keep on forgetting to ask. One of your favorite things is psychometry, where you could read an object. Now, the first thing I would like to know is, can you program thoughts, emotions, or energies into items?
Yes. Uh, Objects can become infused by parts of you. In the wonderful world of metaphysics where everything's alive, a simple object like this crystal ball, right? If you had the will, the desire, and the motivation to do so, or the manifestation to do so, all of your emotions, all of your thoughts could come into this because it's a part of you, right? When you rest with something, when it's near you, when that energy is being shared around, then yeah, it's more than possible to, in theory, program an object. It would have a trace amount of your energy. Back in the days of just in the days of Houdini, this is one of the things that he was working on before he died was to what extent could metaphysics be used to leave an imprint behind, a part of a memory? You know, we talk about residual hauntings and intelligent hauntings and energy, latent energy, and energies all around us. You know, something that in the field of metaphysics, we had this understanding for, right? Energy is unstable, yes, it's both light and dark, but it's possible to charge an object with it. And that object, therefore, is going to have a part of that trace of you. It's not going to be you exactly, but it's bound to you. The idea of the old fashioned Middle Ages, you know, the bound spirit books, which was a favorite of Queen Victoria's, for example. She always believed that she could bind a book to her. God forbid anybody that touched that book. So where there's a will, there's a way. So yeah, you could, in theory, use your energy to really program anything.
Okay, that's intense. I'm also thinking that you could also use an object as you could give it to someone as a memento so someone can remember you by. So and it can be done for a lot of healing modalities and different things. So I find that very useful and fascinating. When you pick up an object and read it, How do you perceive that information? How does it come across to you?
It's not like you see it on television with violent flashbacks and cool music and stunning special.
Aw,
I have to be honest, it is a replay to some extent. It's a bit like a daydream. You see information, but it's very quick. You get a rough idea. And because we're in a basic trance, a very entry level trance, how it works is you get trace messages. It's kind of like listening to a voicemail, and it may not make any sense, right? On your smartphone. Whenever I get voicemails, they never actually match the transcription, and that's the same with psychometry. Is you have a rough idea, like for example, what's the oldest thing? This Celtic cross. Now, this Celtic cross belonged to a 10-year-old girl, and it was given to me as a heirloom. And she was actually from my dad's side. She died very, very, very young. My dad had it in his possession. But when I first picked this up, I got a picture of a very young child, younger than 10, but she was near a windmill and she was always holding it. In fact, part of what she enjoyed to do was to hold it in her hand like this, and she would always walk around with it, and it was always near a windmill. So after doing some checking, found out where the windmill was. It was right near our house back in the UK. But that's the kind of message that you get. It's very quick. Sometimes it's very painful. Sometimes I picked up on things which are the last moments in life. And I had a bullet from the First World War, and I think we did this on Casual once. Was it on Casual? I think it was. And I held the bullet, and boy, that was not fun. I will say that. When you hold something that has that much energy, it's either really good or really painful.
okay, wow. That's wow. Do you ever pick up an object? Sorry for going on this thing, but this is something I'm just interested in. Do you ever pick up objects that are full of positive emotion just when you're having a bad day? So you could actually just change how you're feeling?
Oh, yes. Objects out there, everybody always harps on about like the bad objects. They're fans of Zach Bagans and all of this, right? Or like, I know the reality TV shows, the collector guy that collects all these objects, but there are objects out there which are designed to make you feel good. The original voodoo dolls in across medieval Europe, the puppets, would make you feel good just by holding them. In fact, they were given to kids as simple ways to calm kids down, especially during the early parts of the Middle Ages before the whole thing kind of changed. When voodoo used voodoo dolls, they were designed as long-range healing. You would hold them, but you would get that spark of energy. All too often, people are so quick to label objects as, oh my gosh, that object's got all this bad things to it. And really, they don't. The bad objects are few and far between. It's mostly good objects, but you do get that bolt of energy. It's that kind of like, I like to call it a mental hug. Just when you're having a bad day and you pick up an object and you get that kind of feeling that you're being hugged by something. It's a really weird feeling, but once you experience it, boy, is it awesome.
I agree. I have this bad joke where I say I want to get a doll of myself and I could give it a back massage. So I could get one.
You could make a voodoo doll for yourself. This is the whole thing. How voodoo dolls work is it's the intention. It's 90% of it's the intention, and they were never designed to harm people. They were designed to heal. Remember like the whole trade thing, people moving around, right? So you could make a doll or a golem of yourself, but if the intention is to like cure a back problem or cure a stomach problem, then it's going to work. It's all about intention.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. I have one sitting over my altar. I made it a couple years ago for her solstice out of a corn doll. It has ears, a tail, and a cool shirt. So, RG, can you tell me an entertaining story where something magical happened that surprised you? I know that you have a lot of experiences in a wide range of doing different things. So there's probably a whole lot that doesn't surprise you anymore, but I'm sure something on occasion does happen that's truly magical, that's above and beyond anything else that you would classify in that category.
That is an excellent question. Oh boy. There is one thing that I remember which was really took me by surprise. I am an alum of Benedictine University here in Illinois, and there are always stories about the university being haunted and all of this and all of the legends. And, I had my medium side turned off. And there's one day where I was completely turned off, right? I was not going into medium mode. And they have a ministry there. And on the top floor of the ministry, that whole building is where the cannery used to be. Always incidents there. Health and safety wasn't a thing back in the 1920s. And one of the monks passed the veil, and they never found out what really happened. But he stayed on, and I never believed the story because it's a university. Kids are always going to make up stories. Well, not kids, but young people are always going to make up stories. It's part of college life. And the thing was that if you called the monk's name, he would show himself to you. And somebody, I don't even know why I accepted the dare, but somebody said, "Hey, do you want to try this thing? And we're going to call." And I was like, it's either going to work or we're going to get ourselves into a lot of trouble. So we go up onto the top floor, which was an art gallery. And I had this feeling that nothing was possibly could happen. So I couldn't feel anything, I had the whole thing off. And I called the elderly monk's name. I mean, he died at age 22, 24, 25. This is in 1927, 27, 28. And nothing happened. And I thought, okay, job done. Just debunked it. Little did I know that as we were preparing to leave, first of all, the elevator wouldn't work, or as you Americans call it, the lift wouldn't work. And I was like, boy, okay, nothing. It's probably electrical. There's nothing to, because I didn't feel anything, right? So we tried to go down the stairwell, and the stairwell was locked, which is kind of weird because they never locked the stairwells. And I'm like, okay, let's think about this rationally. There's probably some kind of weird lock thing. So then I turned on the medium side. And I will tell you, I've never been blindsided by a ghost before. And it was kind of hilarious because I didn't see it at first, but this monk was right behind me. And not only was he right behind me, but he was really making fun of me, right? So now I'm hearing this guy making really anti-British jokes. And I was so taken aback by it because having the medium side turned up, I was completely oblivious to it. Nobody else saw what was going on. And so I got this 20-year-old who had passed the veil. He's in his full regalia, and he's trying to throw cans at me in a playful manner, but then he's making fun of my accent, and I had to literally turn around, and I think I said something along the lines of, "Would you bloody well shut up?" And the guys that I was, the people I were with thought it was them, and they got really offended. I'm like, no, not you, the other guy, and they were like, "Oh, so you?"
Yeah.
I'm like, it was one of those moments that really took me back because I was completely not expecting it. Then of course he decided to really troll us. It's the first time I've ever had an entity give me a run for my money. So I put him on kind of I'm ignoring him at this point. No, he wasn't done with that, right? So he begins to get even closer to me, and the students I was with saying they've never seen a British person look more pale than a normal British person, because I was really getting affected. So then we're pressing the buttons for the lift, or as the Americans call it, the elevator. The elevator comes, right? And so the door is taking forever to close. And I'm thinking, is this either I'm about to be punked or we're in a Hollywood movie, or both? Right. Eventually, about 20 minutes waiting for the elevator door to close. It closed, but I turned the medium part on. This monk is like this close to me, glaring at me. And I'm like, social distancing, mate, get back. I was, the guys I was with literally would see me do this and they had no idea what I was doing, right? Because I didn't tell them I was a medium. So I'm standing there like doing a Cobra Kai karate pose with some hooded 20-year-old entity that is right in my face. You know, literally, like, that's one of my most memorable moments. I'm like, yeah, probably not going to not believe people again doing that. But it was fun. You know, it's one of those moments that I think will always live with me.
That is hysterical. And it's a monk having a bad day. Wow.
I think it's because I was ignoring it. You know, usually when entities get mean with me, I just ignore them. I'm like, talk to the hand because the medium ain't listening. And they don't like that.
Okay. So how long have you been working with spirits and the supernatural?
Since I was born. I was born, I mean, to quote Lady Gaga, I was born this way. No, quite literally, I was. I was, it's one of the reasons why I'm one of the very strongest proponents of parents listening to children, because I was that archetypal child who knew that their imaginary friend was something more than just imaginary. I've always been in tune with it. Before my mum passed, it used to drive her nuts because she knew what I could do, but she was never happy with telling anybody what I could do, right? And so I would have entire conversations with things that she could see. My dad couldn't see it, but she could see it. And we would have these hilarious conversations. You know, every single home that we lived in the UK, nearly all of it, I'd have weird and wonderful conversations with dead animals. There was a cat that used to appear to me, and my mum's like, "Oh, you're playing with the cat again?" I'm like, "Yeah, how could you tell?" She's like, "Well, it's first of all, it's the smell. Second of all, you keep on stroking something that's not there. What are you doing?" And even that, you know, our household pets at the time could always tell when I was in go mode, right? And my dad's like, "Oh, it's just an active over imagination." I'm like, you see what I'm saying? It's, you know, I'm one of these proponents. You know, I always tell parents, listen to your kids. Kids are psychic. Many children get to a point where they're always told it's your imagination and it's time to bring it in and to go through the growth stages. They forget it. Other kids retain it. And I was one of these kids that was so sensitive that to me, I ignored the whole it's just your imagination thing. Because really, it isn't. Kids see and experience things because they're tied to the astral plane. Very young kids up until puberty are connected to the plane. Adults are connected by spirit only, and in mediumship we can tune into it. But children are connected directly. The imaginary friends they're seeing are not imaginary. When a kid tells you they're seeing things, don't just, you know, parents out there. If your child comes to you and says they're seeing things, they're seeing things. Listen to them.
Okay. I very much agree with you. I remember various things as a child. I would speak to, I would go to different places and feel different things. And I had all these strange thoughts going into my head. So I remember. Um, I was fortunate enough that I was the middle child and my parents ignored me until I was a late teenager. So by the time they tried to tell me to be normal, I had decided I didn't want to be. But
Normal is such a taboo catchphrase. There's no such. I mean, really, nobody's normal. Everybody's got unique gifts and qualities. This idea of normalcy is it's just a blanket term to mean simmer down. Really, you know, you tell people to think normally, be normal. It's they're not trying to deprive you of anything else other than this idea that we've all got to go to work at 9 to 5. We all do this. We all do this. There's so much more to life and so much more to the experience of life. So really, all normal really means it's just a blanket placebo term that people sometimes use because they never want to have that discussion. And it's really sad that we get to that, right? People don't want to talk about it. They really don't.
yeah, I agree. Um, so one of the things that piques my curiosity is when someone talks to spirits and there are other people in the room capable of talking to spirits, do they all see the same spirit? Do they all perceive the same thing?
I'm going to be honest, no. What happens after you die is that you enter into your astral form. And in the Corellian tradition, the astral form that we discuss is pretty much that. What it is it's you, but it's not you. It's not this physical body. So one person could perceive me in many different ways, because how spirit communicates with others is through a form which is comforting to them. So one medium could picture me. Another medium could picture my other, a different astral form. Maybe they're comforted by animals. Maybe they're comforted by a return to childhood, a past loved one, a trace memory. How the spirit realm has always behaved is one spirit can take on many different forms. And these forms are designed to make you comfortable. When you work with the denizens of the astral plane, there are some bad guys, yeah, but most of the time, when spirit communicates with you, it wants you to feel comfortable and not afraid. So when I work with spirits, it's more like outlines of the person. I would tell people it's an outline. It's really hard to describe. I'm not going to see a carbon copy of me, but it's an outline. It's kind of like a rough aura. Another person would see it as a spirit animal, totemic forces. Another person would see it as an elemental. Another person might even see it as, I don't know, a Raggedy Ann doll, or however the spirit can put you at ease. It's not to manipulate you. It's really putting you at ease, comforting you, saying, you're not alone, mate. But if you want to talk to me, this is form I'm going to take.
Okay. So it's unique to each person.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. When you work with spirits, do they tend to take on certain aspects for you? Like do the more energetic ones take on like a super clear form? The more quiet ones, do they tend to stay fuzzy? How does that work? Does emotion play a part in their appearance? The intentions?
But spirits, the way the astral plane is designed, when you die, and it's before, let's just say the old as hills one, you die before your time, and you want to really send a message across. It always works in the same builds up before the great payoff when the spirit reveals itself. It always starts off as a very timid feeling that something is there, but it's out of your purview of sight, right? So it's kind of like sussing you out, as we have this term in England called sussing you out, right? They're checking you out at a great distance. The more relaxed you are and the more susceptible you are to wanting that interaction, it begins, the entity, whatever it is, begins to get closer. And as it gets closer, it begins to adopt a kind of symbiosis where it's there, it knows you can see it, but at the same time, it's energy. You can feel it. It's a change in the atmosphere. It's a change in the air. I look at, whenever I've done investigations in houses, I could walk into a house and tell you it's a dead cell, meaning it's dormant. Everything's quiet. What it needs is that spark of energy. So if I was to walk into a really dead cell room, which this isn't, but if it was, I would kickstart that energy. And over a long period of time, maybe years, those entities would begin to get much, 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 much closer till we begin to have what is known as like the payoff, right? Objects moving, or maybe, I don't know, an event occurring. But it takes time. And the energy that you pick up also changes. I've never really experienced that classic Hollywood trope where everything gets cold. It's not how it works. Energy does change, yes, but that moment where it gets really, 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 really cold and you get the goosebumps and everything, that's when you're about to have something really bad or really good happen to you. But yeah, it's all about energy. You'll feel it. It's almost a feeling as if something is with you. It's not paranoia. It's kind of like a comforting feeling. It's a bit like somebody's with you, but it's really hard to describe that emotion unless you go through it. But it's there. and you know it's not meaning you any harm because your intuition will kick in.
Okay, that's good to know. Um, and I'm sure that's one of the things that you're going to be going over in greater detail in your Mediumship 365 classes.
Oh, yes, yes. Medium 365 is a year-long journey. I'm going to be empowering everyone who comes to the classes to become mediums. I am a strong believer that you can become psychic, you can become a medium, but you've got to go through the training. And my goal for Medium 365 is to empower people not just to have that self-development, but spiritual development, to really open themselves out through breathing exercises, self-hypnosis, right? Self-induction. We're going to go through all of the basics of training, all the way through to the advanced things. I am going to be doing seances as well. I really want to give people a sort of reassuring thing that you can do it, but you have to be able to be open-minded, and you have to go through the training, right? It's the boring part. Nobody likes training. Nobody does. But the way I do it is I try to immerse you straight in it right from the get-go, learning how to control your breathing, how to open your mind, how to become releases, to really safely enter the astral plane and come back, and come back safely as well.
Mhm. Yeah, that's one of the classes I'm looking forward to taking in the next year for my studies. I don't have a whole lot of training in mediumship, but I naturally will talk to anything that chooses to talk to me, and I need to get good at what I do. So I'm grateful, very grateful for your class. I saw the first episode last week, and it looked fascinating, and I'm very much eager to see the next one. I do understand that they're dropping online Sunday nights,
Yes, they are.
and that your medium.
Yes, they are. And the plan is sort of there will be seances as well that I'll be doing. I really want to encourage people, even if you're worried about them, even if you've never been to a seance, come to it, experience it. If you're serious about being a medium, and seances are not a huge part of what we do, but that's our kind of the business part, right? Everybody wants a medium to come and lead a seance. And my goal is I'm going to really help you guys see safely into, the veil, across that boundary. So yeah, every Sunday, moving forwards through the next entire year, my goal is to not just empower you, but at the end of the year, have you guys run seances. It's one of my goals is I want to see all the students run their own seance and really have that confidence to work with spirits. I think if we can do that, that's going to be truly amazing. The next mediums coming up, people are being trained and they want to get to it. We won't be doing classes live in cemeteries. Saying this to my dad the other day, right? And I think I did this on the live stream as well. I pointed out that working with spirits doesn't mean you have to go into a cemetery and walk around and try to communicate with the dead, because that's not where they do their business. Spirits are around you. They're in your homes. They're walking next to you on sidewalks. They're in your workplace. They're right behind you right now, Fluffy. Actually, two of your ancestors are. But they're always with you. And the thing is, people get it wrong. It's like, oh my gosh, you're going to go to this castle on the hill or this insane asylum. And it's great for TV, but it's not real mediumship. Real mediumship is just, we come into your, we tell you what's there. You don't need to go to all these weird and wonderful places. Exploring's cool, but really you're surrounded 24 hours a day, 7 days a week by spirits. You just need to, hopefully through the training and how the year progresses, hopefully you and all of the students watching this are going to become really empowered to see it, but see it safely. But I will warn everyone, once you, and this is like the big warning, once you see it, and once you really see what the spirit realm is like, there isn't a turning back. Once you once you willingly engage in this kind of training, and then you see it, there is no, you can't really unsee it. Seeing into the astral plane, it can be very traumatizing, kind of, because it's something you're not used to seeing, but you can't unsee it. The universe is going to be like, okay, human, what have you done? Yeah, you just bypassed the natural law of the universe, but hey, no biggie. You can't unsee it now. But yeah, every Sunday, and the seances will be monthly, moving forwards towards the end of each month.
Yeah.
I think our first one will be the Memorial Day. I am working on that one. I'm going to do something special for all of our serving veterans, and people who have served, all of our veterans, and of course, people who are actively serving. I think a seance on Memorial Day would be very unique.
It is. As you were saying, um, learning how to do mediumship is empowering.
Mhm.
It also teaches you how to follow your intuition, and you talk to things that no one could, if no one else sees. So that gives you a lot of confidence in yourself, and that you know what you're doing and how to do it, and that transforms your life. So you become a better version of you,
Yeah, it's all about
and
self-empowerment.
yeah, and you learn to work energy, and you learn how to listen to the universe, and once you do that, you learn all sorts of things. Other skills unlock. You gain certain abilities, healings, knowledge, manifestation, all sorts of stuff, and those could all be used to make your life better and other people's lives better.
Yeah,
Um, so this is a great thing to be doing. And give yourself the gift of self-empowerment, of self-knowledge. Give yourself permission to do something amazing. So my final question, you mentioned I have two ancestors behind me. Can you tell me about them?
it's going to sound kind of weird, but it's a farmer. But he's close to you, but he's not close to you in the sense that he is unsure of whether you remember, but he's ancestral. Somewhere down your family line. You know what? He's showing me it's not agriculture. What is it, please? Okay. It's like a building, but it's got chickens in it. And in life, as a young man, he would be walking around and he's doing it. He's showing me this. What are you
Mhm,
dropping? Seed, feed. And he's
mhm,
walking in a circle. And for whatever reason, this isn't in your near family. This is in the past.
mhm.
When was this, please? Can you give me a year? Give me a year. Okay, that's it. Okay, thank you. 1938, and it was a barn, and these are his memories. And he holds this memory because part of his philosophy in life was that we are all children of something bigger. He was the father of the chickens, but at the same time, he was part of a bigger picture. Now he's attracted to you because you have you're kind of I don't know the right word to explain it, but you don't follow the status quo, and he loves that. And so he's okay. What is it? Show me. Okay, he was the same as you because in his family he was he was that one, right? What was it that you did? Can you tell me? Okay, funny story with him. When he was 18, that when was this? Okay, so sorry, he's showing me. Oh, that's so adorable. He wanted to go out with the neighbor's daughter, and it was prom night, and he got himself grounded because he didn't have anything to wear for the prom. And so what he did, being to the showed me how he did it. Thank you. There's his house. Okay, so there's a farmhouse, a barn. Okay, how did you do it, please? Okay, so his room had the roof that slanted, and it was. Can you tell me the time? Do you remember the time? Oh, come on, that's romantic. Okay, the prom was at. Okay, thank you. 7, and he snuck out at 6:30, but in his bed, he had put 2 chickens in his bed so that if his parents came in, and he had the covers over them, and for whatever reason, how did you get them to stay quiet, please? That was it. He gave them extra feed, and because he gave them extra feed, the chickens were, "We're done for the day, mate. We're asleep." And so he showed me he's putting the covers over a bed, and climbs out the window, only to find out that the girl next door had a cold and wasn't going to go to the prom anyway. And so he climbed back in, got caught by his dad, and got really grounded this time because he had to show the chicken trick. Obviously, his parents were never going to let that happen. In death, though, he's attracted to you because you're the difference. And he likes that about you. And he thinks, there's something uniquely hilarious, but he's not going to make himself manifest, but he's there if you need him. The other one comes from your mother's side. And you didn't even know her because she died in this lady was on your mother's side of the family. She died coming to America, and she came to America. Okay, how? Okay, show me. Okay, it was she was a midwife, and she arrived in the States. They lived. Before they moved, they were in Missouri, and she was very young, and she contracted TB, and she always ignores it. She died. What year did you die, please? Yeah, I'm sorry, I have to ask. 1948. She had a rare case of TB. It was caused. She was in close proximity. She helped give birth to a birthing in a family, and the husband had contracted TB through being very close to badgers, which is not a good idea. Right? Badgers give you TB. Now, he didn't die from TB, but she contracted it, and she died a year later. But why she's attracted to you is she's fascinated with the fact that you are very in tune to this idea of motherhood, that you're compassionate, and she's very interested in that about you. And so she's one of the other ancestors that has stuck with you because she sees something, and it's going to sound kind of weird, but she sees you as a mother. She sees you having with that compassion for people, and especially that compassion of being listening, of working with animals. And she sees you as the same as she was in life as a midwife. And that's why she's stuck with you. But both of them take their time. They've made themselves very apparent to you. But it's a question that you just got to remember how they did it, right? At times you feel a very strong female energy near you. At times you don't. That's very strong female energy is very comforting, but that's who it is. And it's strange because you weren't even around when she died. You weren't. You didn't know who she was, but she was a midwife, and for whatever reason, you're already. You have figures in the astral plane that are tied to you. And there's those two, they're not bad. Nothing bad at all. One's very eccentric. I mean, sneaking out of a window, doing a chicken trick just to date the girl next door who had a cold. His favorite trick was to go into the barn, and he could never participate in sports. Why? Why couldn't you? Okay. So he had polio. And because he had polio, they never allowed him, his parents never allowed him to do any sport. And so his sport was running around the barn. But he never let his parents see it because they knew that he'd get grounded. And so what he would do is he would pretend to go feed the chickens, but he wasn't feeding the chicken. Well, he was, but he wasn't really feeding the chicken. He was doing the laps. And he was really proud of himself because after he did a lap, polio basically was a death sentence back then. It really was. But no, he used to be very proud. It made it around. He showed me how happy he was. He would go around this barn. And he would come by this door, and this door, what color was it? Show me. It's like an orangey red. And he'd stand by the door, and nobody could see him. And he would try to jump up into the air, and he'd be like, yes, I did. But those are your spirits. No, those are what's watching you.
That's awesome. Wow. Thank you for that. And this just goes to show what RG can do. And we're not physically in the same room. He did this over a great distance, which just proves that this is all energy based. And we could do this all digitally. So that's incredible. But sadly, we are running out of time. So I would like to remind everyone that I have an open forum for everyone to drop in and say hi. It's available right after this episode is aired on Zoom. I'll be here. A couple other people might be around. Ask questions, have fun, chat, socialize, whatever you like. RG has a hashtag Medium365 that you could just look up on Facebook to see his content. Remember that he has his show is on Sunday nights, and at the end of towards the end of the month, he has a mediumship that you could also drop in on. So that would be entertaining to attend. I am grateful that you came by to watch. Tim, RJ, is there anything you'd like to say before we head out?
I wish everybody peace and harmony, and definitely come check out Fluffy's show. He is really, truly unique and really great to be with.
Okay, thank you. So this is Fluffy with the Fluff logging off. Namaste.